Good morning. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for spending your morning with me. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you how we are using some AI/ML tools internally at AWS in our own compliance process. And I hope today that you guys get inspired to also learn and use AI/ML tools in your own processes and workflows. My name is Emily Kepke. I'm a manager within our global operations for assurance. I manage and develop all of the content, narratives, evidence for all of our third-party audits. So everything from PCI to high trust to HIPAA really goes through my team. And so I'm going to share with you how essentially we use Amazon Comprehend within our own internal process. Let's see if this works. But first, I'm going to take you guys to my favorite place in the world, which is Paris, France. That is also happens to be the headquarters of a French-based but global health data hosting certification. And every year, AWS renews our commitment to the French government, to French regulators, and to the healthcare industry that we are safe and we can hold private health information in the cloud. And what we've heard from the French customers is that they actually need our services into more regions and into lots of different places even outside of Europe. So even as of this year, we were able to expand the HDS certification into Milan as well as Jakarta. And so I share this as something that's very core in my business and line of work, right? Is how do we manage increasing client scope and increasing audits? And so I kind of want to hear from you guys, just by a show of hands, how many of you guys also have increasing client scope, more audits each year? Right. And ultimately, I don't know what strategies you guys rely on to scale. We're a little bit in a disco mode right now, so I won't ask you guys to share, but I will say probably adding more people, thinking about what you can automate, and very much that is at the heart of my work as well. We need new certifications sooner. We need to do our existing audits faster. And of course, we need to do everything safer. So I'm going to do a really, I don't know if I'll call it fun exercise, but I'm going to walk you through how we did this about a year and a half ago. And this is manual security control mapping. So when I get something new, like an HDS certification, or we're taking on a new ISO cert coming soon this year, the first thing that we have to do is what? We actually have to read the document, right? And we actually have to read, process, and parse the document for relevant information. The document's long, right? It's got information on when the standard was published and things that I might not necessarily care about, right, as a security professional. I really want to know, what are we going to be tested against, and how do we actually achieve the certification? The second step that we have to do is we have to map our external security controls to our internal control framework. AWS, very much like you guys and many of your organizations, has a common control framework. These are, 13 different security control domains, from business continuity to physical security, that we map all of our internal controls to. And then, of course, after we do this analysis, we have to do some sort of QA, right? We need to make sure what we did is actually correct. And then we actually have to strategize for the audits, right? How do we respond to regulators, to customers, to the government? And then how do we actually answer this? And so I'd love to see, and again, new silent disco piece, but just to do an exercise with you guys right now, right? I want you guys to read this sentence that I have and think about maybe how you guys would interpret this. So I would like to learn about how AWS manages access to its data centers. So maybe by show of hands, how many of you guys think this is an access management control? Yeah, all right, a few of you. How many of you guys think this is a physical security control? Right? A lot of you. And realistically, it's probably a bit of a blend, right? In that even in this room, we all read the same sentence and we're all going to interpret that differently. So how do we have better governance structures, right, when we also have to rely on human judgment? So manual security assessments means we have to be painstakingly, line by line, through each security document. It relies on human judgment, very much like what we saw in this room today. People have different opinions and different perspectives. Manual effort means that it's error prone. And then also we have to take additional cycles to manually validate and do QA. So what does this look like at AWS? One of the things that we've done is we've actually built a Amazon Comprehend learning model. So Amazon Comprehend is a natural language processing tool to extract insights from your different documents. We have a pre-trained model so that you can gather insights, and then you can also build your own custom models, and that's what we've done at AWS. We've taken our own internal security controls, all 300, 400 of them, and put them into this AI/ML-based learning model, and built our own custom entity recognition. So to take you through the same exercise, right, we just figured out how to do this manually. How do we do this using AI/ML? The first is Amazon Comprehend will filter the document for us from general text to security text. So looking at the statement that I shared with you, I would like to learn about is green, it's general text, right? How AWS manages access to its data centers. That's the security text component, right? And that's what Amazon Comprehend is now going to interpret. The second is that AI/ML process will then automatically map the security text against our internal controls. So I did this last week in preparation for this, and I ran this through, and you can see that it mapped to the physical security control domain. And within that, from a subcontrol, it mapped and basically popped up that, hey, Amazon Comprehend thinks that this maps to data center access, physical security policy, and visitor access. The third thing that Amazon Comprehend does is that it provides a prediction percentage based on confidence intervals. So going through this, the top hit was physical security at 89%, but also identity and access management at 45%. So you guys were, all who raised your hands for one or the other or both, you guys are actually all correct. And then for the three sub-controls, you can see data center access, physical security policy, visitor access with their own percentages. And so really we're able to automate and build in quality assurance through our confidence models based on our AI/ML modeling. And then that means my team and I, right, we can focus our time on lower confidence predictions, right? Things that we say, hey, let me validate and make sure this doesn't actually relate to visitor access and that it's fully related to data center access. And then things that map very much to a high level confidence model, we can spend less time on, and we can have a lot of assurance, right, that it maps to that control. This is what a high-level architecture diagram looks like. We'll have a user, very much myself, my team, upload a file, it can be in CSV, to an internally facing application. This is really just a UI UX to communicate with the rest of the Amazon technology stack. We've got an API gateway that connects to Lambda, and Lambda helps us run a couple like filter and classify functions before it hits Comprehend, right? And then Comprehend then puts out all of its predictions, and we store everything in the backend S3 data store. What isn't on this is that we also leverage CloudWatch logs. And when we go about retraining our model, we go through the CloudWatch logs and we actually identify the CloudWatch logs of predictions that were correct and predictions that were incorrect. So each time, right, it's going to retrain and get more information so that time in and time again, we can get better and better predictions. So what does AI/ML assessment of security controls look like now for us? Instead of going line by line, we're able to do a bulk upload and a bulk review through increased computing power. We also leverage AI/ML to have the same application of human judgment, right? Or no more human judgment, same application of judgment. So then we can increase our governance and our appetite in how we respond to risk. We can have less manual effort, which means less errors. And then also with the predictions, we're able to build in quality reviews mathematically and through an AI/ML model instead of needing to do it organically through human effort. So I want to share with you a little experiment we did last year, and we essentially took folks from my team and Amazon Comprehend. We ran a security control framework through it with 543 security controls, and I had them do the exact same exercise. Read the document, map the control, QA it, and let's look at the results. And what we found is that there's a 53% time savings using Amazon Comprehend over kind of our team and doing it manually. And year over year, in terms of our audit program, right, and you heard yesterday from CJ, we do 140 plus third-party certifications a year. My friend Baj over there does customer audits, and I think your and me combined are over 225 audits a year. So each year, this means we're saving 3,300 hours of savings year over year, onboarding new controls into AWS's security control environment. So what does this mean for you, right? How can you guys take something from this session back home? The first is, if you're interested in learning and using AI/ML tools into your governance process, think about business process that could benefit from machine learning. I tend to think of these as things that are highly repeatable, but also require a fair amount of human decision making and human judgment. The second is, with all things AI/ML model-wise, you have to train in your model. Your model is only as good as how much you train it. So make sure you come up with a foundational training plan, and make sure as you continue to iterate on your model, you've got a continuous training plan as well. The third piece is to apply change management to your Amazon Comprehend model. Controls change, the security landscape shifts, and every time that happens, right, we need to put those new controls into Amazon Comprehend. New controls into an AI learning model means that we might have lower confidence predictions the first few times around. So you want to make sure you apply change management. You'll want to have a firm promotion process between your non-production, beta, gamma environments into your production environment. And then, of course, we suggest that you integrate AI/ML products for increased value. As I mentioned today, we leverage Lambda, we leverage CloudWatch, we leverage S3, but this is a whole suite of governance and compliance solutions that you can also take advantage of. And so with that, I think we're still running right on time despite starting late, so I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. I'm happy to take questions from you after this session once we take our nice silent disco headphones off. And if you guys have ideas on how you guys can include AI/ML, I'd love to hear about it. So thank you so much, and thanks for spending your morning with me.